Hey, Fort Wayne, welcome back to another episode of Fort Wayne Footy. It has been an incredible week with a lot of soccer here in the local area on the big stage with the Gold Cup happening, the CONCACAF or the Club World Cup, not CONCACAF, the Club World Cup is going on as well. I've seen a lot of soccer here in Fort Wayne. I traveled to Cincinnati yesterday for a game. As I think about all the soccer I've seen, I'm blurring like what I saw in each match. So you may have to help me keep things straight tonight as we get into the Fort Wayne FC talk. If you saw our promo, we do have a guest coming on tonight here in just a few minutes. Matthew Catavolo from Fort Wayne FC is joining us. We'll tell you a little bit more about him here in just a few minutes. But I need to introduce our team here tonight. We have someone returning. It's been a while. Autumn DeMott, welcome back to the show. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. Thanks, Brian. I feel like it's been a lifetime since I've been on here.
It has. I started feeling like maybe we were too mean to you the last time and you just needed a couple weeks off.
Oh, please don't toot your own horn over there.
I was just saying, you have a backbone. I'm pretty sure you're good.
Yeah. Don't do that. I got you, Brian.
I feel like Autumn's mean to me, and I just have to fight back sometimes. So anyway, welcome back, Autumn. It's good to have you. We got some good reviews and people that missed you being on the show the last couple of weeks. So I know there's going to be a few people that are very happy to see you back. So I'm one of them. Welcome back. Glad to have you. Micah, so I know you were watching the United States game when we jumped on here. Because before you even looked at the screen, before you looked at your camera, you're cheering and screaming. We scored a goal and then we didn't score a goal.
There were a couple of those moments tonight.
How is the game now? Is it still going on? I know 95th minute.
I turned my tablet off about 3-4 minutes ago, so I think it's over now.
It's over.
I'm going to operate under the impression that we did win 2-1. My opinion of the game, possession is great, but at some point we just have to pop a ball over and be a little more pragmatic, I would say. Not saying direct, but just pragmatic with intention.
Yeah.
And that's how they scored their second goal. So
you were right. Pat yourself on the back. Welcome back, Micah. Dustin Diller on the program tonight. You were at both Fort Wayne FC matches this last week. I was there with you Wednesday night with the rain delay and all that. And you were there this last week yesterday, right? So you've seen a lot of soccer yourself.
Yeah.
Are you soccered out? Are you tired? Are you ready to just turn it off and go to bed tonight or what?
No, Mexico plays at 10 o'clock tonight. I'm not ready to go to bed. No, it has been a lot of soccer. I've gone both games, watched all the US games, pretty much every Gold Cup game this week. So, it's been some good soccer watching. So yeah, I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah. Good. There has been some good soccer. There's been some really bad soccer in some other, Club World Cup matches, the 10-0 games that happened this last week. I don't know if you saw that Bayern Munich game. Pretty crazy. So anyway, guys, we need to thank our sponsor before we get too deep into our show, FW22. It's a 501c3 nonprofit organized to facilitate community involvement in the support and assistance of veterans suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder and traumatic brain injury, while simultaneously educating on suicide prevention and mental illness. We thank you for what you do, FW22. Thank you for sponsoring this first season of Fort Wayne Footy. So thanks for being a part of it. We still need to get Jared on the show. I know we've talked about that. Jared White, we need to get you on here. Jared, if you're watching, we will reach out and we'll make sure get you on here and learn a little bit more about FW22. But for now, thanks for all you do. Guys, we have some comments in the chat already. Maybe the earliest comments we've ever had come in from Hubert Darragon. Go, Matthew. Go, Matthew. We'll bring him on here in a second. Raquel Briscoe. I believe that is Ari's mom who's been watching. Raquel, thank you for watching and supporting the show. Thank you. She says, thank you for all you guys do. Look forward to Sundays. Awesome. And we got a big smiley face laugh from Fort Wayne FC TV. Thanks for joining us tonight. We do want to bring in our guest, Matthew Catavolo, before I bring him on screen here. Just by way of introduction, this young man has been with CF Montreal Academy their U23 teams. He's played for Valor FC in the Canadian Premier League. He's had an incredible career so far. We're lucky to have him in Fort Wayne. He's spent some time with Toronto FC II in the Major League Soccer, MLS Next Pro. Played with Canada's U17s and Canada's U20 national teams. And he's now hanging out with us in Fort Wayne for the 2025 season for Fort Wayne FC. Matthew Catavolo, welcome to Fort Wayne Footy.
Hey guys, thank you for having me on the podcast. It's always a pleasure to talk soccer with new people and soccer fans of the club. So thank you guys for having me again.
Yeah, man. Thank you for joining us. We joked a little bit. We talked before we went live, right? We're fans sitting up in the stands thinking we know what we're talking about. Some of us have been coaches, never played at the level that you have. So it's always fun to get perspective from people that are on the field and can tell us if we're crazy or not, right? So look forward to some of that conversation tonight with you, Matthew. I'm curious, I want to go back a little bit before we start talking about this season with Fort Wayne FC. I want to go back a little bit. If I understand correctly, you were 13 years old, started playing with CF Montreal, or you're a teenager at some level playing with CF Montreal. You've had definitely a different childhood and teenage years than any of us did, playing at the level that you were playing at. You brought on to the U17 national teams and U20 national teams. Tell us a little bit about your movement from the academy teams you played for to the Canadian Premier League to the national teams that you've played on. What has that been like at each level of play and for you personally?
Yeah, I mean, it all started, obviously, I started with my local club, and then around 13 years old. I was doing pretty well with my club, my local team back in Montreal. It was called Les Étoiles de l'Est, so it's in French. Basically, the Stars of Laval, if we want to put it in for English people.
Okay.
I was doing pretty well there. Top scorer of my team in the regional side. So Montreal's academy, some recruiters at the game looking at me, watching a couple of games of mine, and it was convincing. So I joined the academy in August. Had to change school to do half day school, half day soccer. That's how the program works. So was going from 3-4 times a week playing to now 5-6, with games. Surrounding myself with coaches with another level of experience, who've played the game in those academies, and a lot more resources, a lot better friendly games, a lot better league games. Now you're competing with, U13, U14 MLS academies, so you're starting to get a bit more, understand the game a bit more, and play better players and compete with them. So again, there was that little adaptation because you are playing for fun, but you understand a bit that you're in the top of the province, so there's guys that are like fighting for your spot, like you're trying to take somebody's spot, so you're just understanding those new perspectives as a kid. um Honestly, I was just playing for the love of the game. It's just these little things that you catch year by year, and I started playing overage as well at that age. So with the U14s, I was 13. I was doing well and just did my ranks at the academy, um, all the way to so U17, U19, and then COVID hit. There was a little restructure, so they took out that U19 team and added the U23 team. Uh, and I was at the end. I was pretty much with the first team. I think for like 4 or 5 months. The head coach was Wilfred Nancy, who gave me the opportunity to go to a preseason camp with CF Montreal. Learned a lot with players like Victor Wanyama, Georgi Mihailovic. Just to name you a few guys that were there. Just being in trainings with them on the daily was huge, and obviously I was playing minutes with the second team. there was no championship because it was during COVID, so they were friendly games. But I did really well with the second team, and unfortunately, for financial reasons, I don't think I ended up getting the deal. But what an experience there was being in Montreal, my childhood club. It was just amazing. Um, it also allowed me at the U17 age to get into the U17 national team as an underage. Something that I really did not expect. I knew I had some good qualities, but it just started by me get into the camp with the 2002 age group because I'm a 2003. Let me just get into the camp, which I did, and then just to be a part of that camp was huge. And you slowly start. You play a friendly, all of a sudden you score, and now you're like, whoa, like I think I have more than just the more quality than just to be like the 23rd man or the 20th man, and then I ended up doing well, getting called to the CONCACAF U17 World Cup qualifiers. Um, again, like just this is like a little story I could tell you. First game of the tournament, we were playing the U.S. Joe Reyna, uh, Gianluca
Yeah.
Buzio, just to name a few,
Yeah.
Ricardo Pepi. I wasn't supposed to start that game because we had a strategy which was to win the other two games. We knew they had a tough team, and yeah, just I ended up getting the start. Somebody called in sick like right before the game, and first half Canada's up 2-0 against the US. I got two assists that game. Like it's a game
Jeez.
that changes your whole like perspective of like just you're playing against huge players,
Yeah.
guys that are already in MLS first teams. You're
Well,
younger than them, and like moments there that really like, wow, like they really stick with me still to this
Mm.
let
day.
me let me go back for a second, not
Yeah,
to cut off your story, but I'm curious as you are a young player playing on, you come up to the national team here and last minute you get your first start. What
Mhm.
what mentally was going on in your brain to go? Like, were you prepared to go? Was there a
yeah.
lot of anxiety? Like, how do I wasn't ready for this.
Honestly, I was doing very well with the U17 Montreal team that year. So I was like fully fit. I was confident, not scared because I like the challenge. And the coach told me, like, Matthew, you ready to go? I said, yeah, I'm ready. And yeah, like I knew the game was going to be hard. We were the underdogs going in the game. So it kind of takes off a bit of pressure naturally.
Yeah.
And then I just feel like yeah, we didn't have much possession that game. We were pretty much playing the counter, and we just again playing with great players on my team.
Mm.
Jason Russell Rowe, Jaden Nelson. Like our
Man.
team was stacked as
Mm.
well, and yeah, the game that was like a crazy changing
How
moment. And then we went on to qualify for the World Cup U17 in that same tournament, which brought us to the World Cup in Brazil. I got the chance to
Dang.
go
that's
to
wild.
the U17 World Cup as an underage, and my idols were all number 10s. I got the chance to wear the number 10 as well at a World Cup.
Jeez.
I'm grateful for that. I'll always be. It was an amazing, unique experience, and
So
yeah,
for anybody listening right now, watching live or listening later this week, like Fort Wayne is not playing around with the quality
Mm-mm.
of players that
No.
have come in here. We've got Matthew Catavolo, and there's more to his story. I'm not trying to cut him off. We've got Briscoe, who's played with his national team. Like Fort Wayne is serious about soccer right now and bringing quality players to this town, which is why I love what we get to do here on this show. Matthew, I didn't mean to cut you off there. Your story is fascinating to
Yeah.
me, and I'm sure there's so much more you can tell about your time with Canadian national team, with Toronto FC Academy. I think you had a stint there as well. So I just want to give you an opportunity if there's if you wanted to continue that. We've got some other questions, but I'm just fascinated by your
Yeah.
journey
Seriously.
already.
yeah. No, I just add like a little thing, and then it brought me to obviously COVID. Finished there. Had another year at the Montreal's academy, and then got needed playing time. I knew the MLS was going to be very tough to get minutes, so I decided to go to the Premier League, Canadian Premier League. And then, I got a transfer to TFC2, which was
Mhm.
another key part to my development. Got to
Mhm.
play in another MLS academy and a new league. Trained with guys like Insigne, Bernardeschi. Again, I can tell you so many stories about them, but
Wow.
top players that I was able to train with, watch, learn from, and yeah, it's just fascinating.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I
crazy.
I gotta imagine there's a lot you can learn just by watching players on the field, right? Like that's what I encourage my son to do is just
Mm.
watch some of the pros, see what they do, how creative they are with the ball, where their eyes go when they have it. But to actually be on the pitch with those same guys is probably a totally different story. Is
Mhm.
there is there anything you can share? Just any stories that you have being on the field with guys like Bernadeschi and Insigne, that I don't know how much you trained with them or not, or saw the pitch
Yeah.
with them, but um, just things you learned from them, things maybe you made a dumb play and they got on your case about it. Like, is there anything you can share personally about those kind of experiences?
Yeah, like just to start off, watching them, you see the every little detail they that they bring. Things like just from Insigne that I can remember. In trainings, he's trying to score. Like he sees the goalie. If you're doing, for example, an 8v8, he sees the goalie that's out of his net. He's already trying to shoot from far. Like we're doing a big space game, and he's trying to, like 50 yards out, trying to lob it over the goalie. Like these are little things that these players have. His crosses are always on. They're played to perfection. On the striker's head, on his in his run. They never make silly mistakes. They do sometimes, but it's very minimal. And something else I realized that they bring is just they're able to control the tempo of the game. They can come make
Mm,
the game easier for their whole team.
Mhm.
Those were and their quality is another level, obviously, but just that their calmness on the ball, their composure, they play with like as if they're playing with buddies, with friends. Just it's inspiring. And a little funny story that I can give was doing some finishing and with the Italians, and I scored a nice shot. We're just practicing our shooting. I scored a nice shot, and there's like a celebration where a player kneels and you put your foot on top of them, and they like clean your shoe. So I did that with Insigne. Like we had a little cool relationship. We both speak Italian. Obviously, he's from
Mm.
Italy, but speak Italian too from my grandparents teaching me as a kid and my family. So cool moments like that where you remember those forever.
yeah. Um, so I want to go back to Wilfred Nancy, right? I'm an FC Cincinnati fan myself. That's where I grew up, and so I watched them. And our arch nemesis is the Columbus Crew, where Wilfred Nancy is now.
Yeah.
He seems like an incredible coach. And you spent a little bit of time with him, it sounds like. What can you tell us about Wilfred Nancy as a coach and as an individual?
Yeah. So first of all, he's very, treats everybody equally. He really emphasizes respect, the important core values of anywhere, right, and of life in general. So I think that's very important. Nobody's above the team. Those were, those were
Mm,
important things that he always mentioned. And on the football side, he was an incredible tactician. Loved to control the game with the ball.
Mm.
It was the first time when I was training with him, I would see uh, goalies and defenders being side by side on the goal kick, and where he would try to like win he would try to like find ways to beat the press. That was the first time I actually started seeing that. Like it was incredible how he would use his goalie with his
mm,
defender, similar to Guardiola did back in a few years ago. So that
mhm.
was super interesting to see.
Mm.
And then just how he's able to get his message to his players and really emphasize the ball. You know, how to treat the ball properly and keep it, and then he gives also that freedom in the offensive zone to really express yourself. So yeah, he's a top coach. If I had to say, it was amazing to work with him, and even if it was just for a few months, it was plenty to learn from.
Yeah.
That's awesome. No, so I love, like, literally, I think we could all sit here for the entire time and just listen to you tell us stories. But I'm laughing because my 8-year-old was there last night and got your autograph on the poster, and he's walking around in front of me, like holding it up like this right now. Like, he's so excited. But so my question is, and because my older son also wanted to know, what advice would you give for young players that are trying? Sorry, yeah, there he jumped on there. For young players that are trying to do well, to, that they want to prove themselves. What kind of advice would you give to them?
Yeah, so for me, I would say, like, as a kid, just obviously having fun is very, very important. But it's for me, it would be just being on the ball, close to the ball as a kid, like always, playing with your friends, with your local team, uh, futsal, like a gym soccer, different types of soccer games, whether it's small space, big space, like all these little, you learn from every team that you're on. And just, I feel like when you're young, getting those fundamentals, like first touch, weak foot, something that was really, my dad would really stress as a kid. Work on your weak foot, getting the connection with the ball. That's where you start to develop your skills, your IQ for the game. Um, yeah, that's honestly, and then the discipline will come obviously later as well. But yeah, for me, it's getting your connection with the ball. I think that's gonna help you for the rest of your life.
Mm.
Then obviously we know there's other factors, physical stuff, speed. But I feel like the basics of football, of soccer, are in those younger years is crucial. If I had to really give a piece of advice for kids, like simple things. I grew up like playing a lot in the street, like off a wall, just yeah, playing a lot of soccer in different zone, on grass, on concrete, on different pitches. So I think that's essentially the advice I can give for
Yeah.
young players.
No, that's great.
Yeah. Mike,
Matthew, I have
yeah.
yeah, I have a question for you, and then I asked Ori this the same question a couple weeks back. But
Yeah.
walk me through the process of you signing with Fort Wayne. Like, what that was, a phone conversation, or like what? How did you end up here? Let me ask you that.
Yeah. So yeah, my agent obviously knew the staff here. Mike Avery, Keelan Barker, who's the assistant. So yeah, that's how it all started. For me, last year I came off a difficult year in terms of playing time. Uh, as you know, changes in soccer can be good for players, can be bad. Management changes. So for me in Toronto, my second year was very difficult in terms of getting playing time. Um, Not because I was training bad, not because I was necessarily doing anything bad, just myself training hard all the time, trying to fight for minutes. But, and when you're fighting to get an MLS contract in a reserve team that is professional, there's a lot of constraints coming from above. There's players that with a new management are seen here, and the year before they weren't seen the same. So there's all these things that are part of football out of our control, obviously. What I control is my training, but I didn't get a lot of minutes, so it was harder to get the next step in my career. And obviously, the North American market was done, and had great conversations with Mike, uh, who believed in my abilities along with the staff. And for me, it was really important to get playing time. That's how you constantly grow as a player. You get your confidence, and the opportunity Fort Wayne has is immense. them going professional next year. Great sporting director, Demarcus Beasley, also who brings enormous amount of knowledge and advice for players who can help you grow. So yeah, all these things uh, were a part of the discussion, and for me, it's so important to obviously play like I mentioned. So that was kind of the discussion, and obviously being here, I just wanted to give my best and keep developing and seeing where it takes me.
What is your ultimate goal as a player? Is it to play at a certain level, a certain club, for the Canadian national team with Jesse Marsh or whoever it is, down the road? Like, ultimate goal, I assume you want to go as far as you can go.
Yeah.
What do you have your eyes set on?
Yeah, a realistic dream would be to play for the national team of Canada, the senior team. Uh, Hopefully it's Jesse Marsh. If not, if it's somebody else, whoever it may be, that's my objective. Even to get into a camp, start off with that, and obviously to get into that team is you're competing with players that play in great and proven championships. So I feel like to play in that, to get your opportunity, you need to really be in the highest level possible. So that's my objective, is to be in the best environment for me to get call-ups with the national team and play at the highest level I can play. That's all I can control and all I can hope for. So
Yeah.
those are my ambitions.
Yeah. You guys have any other questions for Matthew before we get into some game talk here? All right.
No, I think we could just sit and listen to you talk all
Yeah.
day about your experiences.
doubt.
It's pretty awesome. Like knowing those things that we didn't know beforehand. That's pretty awesome, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
My question, I do have one question before we get into like game stuff, and I think I prepped you a little bit beforehand, was watching the Canadian national team play, I would imagine you would take great pride in the product that they're putting out on the field.
Yeah.
And we're watching the United States men's team play and not have some of their top players in camp right now or in the Gold Cup even, is seeing struggles against lower teams and all that. My question is, did the United States make a mistake not hiring Jesse Marsh? Because that's a question that many of us are asking. Poch is a good coach, but what do you think?
I think if we look at the day the decision was made, I wouldn't see it as a mistake necessarily, because Pochettino is Pochettino. I mean, he's coached amazing clubs. Maybe now looking back, I mean, honestly, I don't watch the US games, so I don't know the issues or what they're lacking right now. But to say it's a mistake is a tough one for me to say, because you're bringing in a talented coach, so it's a tough one.
Yeah. I will say this. I don't know that it's a coaching issue with the United States team. I think there's a lot of other stuff going on too, but certainly Jesse Marsh has proven himself to be a great coach there in Canada. And I kind of love the fact that he's not shy about reminding the United States that you overlooked me. And here we go with Canada, like turning things around. It's been fun to watch the Canadian team just progress and move on. So, Matthew, we do wish you all the best. We're thankful that you joined us. I'm hoping we're going to talk about the Lexington match here. If you don't mind sticking around, we'd love to get your thoughts on that match on Wednesday night. So we get into moving on to the Lexington SC match. Like, this is the other undefeated team. Fort Wayne FC has been stellar all season. And if you went around to the four of us here tonight, Matthew, and give, like, if we went through our preseason predictions, I think all three of them predicted Fort Wayne FC being undefeated. Maybe. I was the only one that maybe had a loss or two in there. But Lexington had
one tie.
You had one tie. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So Lexington SC comes in. They're a new team in the league. No one knows much about them. They've got a team in USL Championship. They started the second team this year, and you guys went down there first and drew with them 1-1, I believe. They They have gone undefeated since then, come into town on Wednesday night. It's a big game everybody's looking forward to. We get a storm that delays the game, right? Everybody's soaking wet, going back into the locker room. Fans are just hanging out underneath the bleachers. I was there that night with Dustin, and a big game, and you guys performed well in that match. Walk us through kind of pregame stuff, how you adjusted to, hey, we're ready to play, but oh wait, we got to wait another hour or so to come out and continue to be ready for that game.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when soccer games are delayed, it's kind of tough because you eat 3-4 hours before the game, so you know the food, the digestion, the sugar levels, all that stuff gets a bit affected. So you just gotta obviously get some energy as the game, hoping that the game starts at the right time and doesn't get pushed even more. So yeah, we got our warm up done, and then another little storm came and pushed the game another 45 minutes or so. But yeah, it's a mental challenge as well. Frustration. Are we gonna play the game? Is it in an hour, 30 minutes? Is it in 2 hours, 3 hours? So a lot goes on in your mind, and especially when it's like a big game. You prepared all week, well, depending on the schedule, but you prepared a few days in advance for this game. So you're ready. You're really like locked in for the game, and these things can put you off, but it all depends on how you digest it. So I mean, yeah, we ended up playing the game even though the storm affected us. Yeah, we the game, big games always bring something special, that atmosphere where both teams are going at it. And yeah, I mean, sometimes those games, you you don't necessarily get to play the way you want because it's just how the game goes, but I think we did really well in the first half. I feel like we had most of the ball, the control in that first half. Second half, I mean, we're up 1-0. I think, sometimes naturally the game, you start to defend a bit more. You want to protect your lead, and ideally you have the ball, but sometimes it's just the way the game goes. I mean, we could have been a bit more, I would say, sharper in how we, in our counterattacks, in our possession, keeping that composure with the ball. But honestly, we sometimes you just gotta play what the game gives you, and do your best. I mean, I feel like we did that, and we got the second goal at the end, close to the end, and yeah, we got the result, and that's ultimately is what you want in big games, is to get the result. If you can do both, play amazing for 90 minutes, that's in an ideal world. But yeah, we needed the result, and the whole team worked hard for it. So proud of all of us and the staff as well.
So Dustin and I were there, and we were commenting on just style of play. I think last week we even talked about on the show that it seems like in every aspect of the game, Fort Wayne, your team seems to be the better team in tight spaces, seems to be the better team at counterattack, seems to be the better team defending. One of the things that I noticed is we talked about this is long balls through the middle, like low balls on the ground through the middle seem to be, I see your team doing that more than I've seen it anybody else doing it consistently that way, with an attacking mid dropping in, or a striker dropping in to get the ball, and suddenly you're downfield, you've got numbers, you're pushing forward. Lexington seemed to cut that off. There wasn't a whole lot of that. They seemed to play tight in the middle, allowing the wings maybe to run a little bit more. Was that an adjustment for you guys, or were you prepared for Lexington to shut down the middle that seemed to be your strength all season so far?
Yeah, I mean, every game presents a new challenge at times. Obviously, with footage, teams can adjust, and I feel like, Lexington, we have to respect what they did this year. They came in, and they got very positive results, and they have some good players as well. So they were able to read those passes, like you said, So now I feel like we adjusted well, going more on the wings. The spaces we recognized that it was more on the wings. So, sometimes it's also that recognizing mid game. It's not always easy, but I feel like this year we it's something to be proud of as a team. There was games where we struggled to, maybe get a goal or so, and we always found a way to get it done. So that's, it's encouraging, and I feel like it's an important quality to have, especially if you want to go far in the playoffs. Like, if you're able to find ways to score, to create chances. Sometimes when things are not working out for you for 30 minutes, and towards the end of the game, you pull something out of the hat. Like, these are good qualities to have as a group. And then, we've been very strong defensively. So to combine both, and obviously we're a very good possession based team as well. So just all these elements have been good for us this year, and we just gotta keep it up for the last stretch, and then I believe we're gonna make the playoffs. So for those playoffs as well.
100%.
I
100%.
think, and Brian, I think you and I both, like, the atmosphere. It was, the rain kept some people away, and so I think that the crowds were a little bit less on Wednesday than what they were expecting to have for such a big game. But the atmosphere was nuts. Like, I felt like it was extremely intense and electric. Did you guys feel that on the field? Like, beyond just, like, obviously knowing that this was an intense game, is that something you guys feel when like people like Christina and the Three Rivers Regiment, like, they're out there, and you feel that? Like, does that kind of push you
Yeah,
on?
like, honestly, I felt it since the first friendly that I played here. And I'm gonna keep it honest. Sometimes the crowd this year has been better than in some professional environments. So just to see that was like amazing, and the
Mm.
the fans are like a 12th man on the field for me, and I'm sure for many. Like, they give you that extra energy in the final 10 minutes, from the first minute, and I feel like you guys contributed to the success of this team 100%, because sometimes the game was decided in the last 10 minutes, and where did the energy come from? From us, but I feel like it also came from the fans. So it's every game at home has been amazing, and you guys have been doing an amazing job. So it's honestly, it gives a lot of positive energy for the team, whether we're down a goal, up a goal, or we're tied with the other team. It's amazing energy to have for the home games.
Yeah. Shout out to Shane and Christina with Three Rivers Regiment. Well done for the way you guys build the fan base there. We have one question we want to ask you, and we want to respect your time. Thank you for being on here.
Yeah.
I'm going to pass it to Autumn. It's one we got in the chat.
Cool. Speaking of Christina, she wants to know what your game day routine is.
Yeah, so my game day routine, Christina, is so I eat 3 meals. If the game's at 7 p.m., like it has been, I eat around 9, 12, and 3 p.m.
Hmm.
I like to get in some mobility in the morning, some stretching between breakfast and lunch, and then take a nap after lunch, and then just get my muscles going before, in between my pregame meal and the actual start of the game. And yeah, obviously, like, I'm always thinking about the game, so it's always like, in the back of my mind all day. Sometimes the days are like, you just want to get this game started. And I also like to watch some highlights of some players that I like that play on my position, just to get some creativity, or you know something cool. That it's like a mind game. You get to see some skills or some goals, and sometimes you're on the field and that same play happens, and it's like in the back of your head. So just some creativity on that end.
That's fun.
Awesome.
Well, Matthew, thanks for joining us tonight. As Dustin said, we could listen to your stories all day, and maybe we'll have you back on another time to tell more. But love what you do on the field. Love what you bring to the team, your leadership, your consistency, your heart, your drive, your play. I don't know if we'll see you in Fort Wayne next year or not, because it sounds like you've got your eyes set on some things, and we'd be sad to not see you here, but we're rooting for you either way, whether you're with us next season or you move on to something bigger and better. We're rooting for you. Appreciate what you've done for Fort Wayne and for Fort Wayne FC. So thanks for joining us tonight as well.
Yeah.
Just wanted to say thank you guys for having me. It's an honor to talk soccer with you guys. And again, thank you guys for everything you do for the community, and at the games as well, cheering us on and whatnot. So appreciate it, and thank you again for having me.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
For sure. Thanks, Matthew.
Thank you. Ciao, guys.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, it was a fun interview, right?
Yeah.
Love what he had to say. One thing I wanted to ask him about, we didn't get a chance to, we ran out of time, was the Atlas game coming up this weekend on Saturday night. Atlas U23s are coming to town from Liga MX. So I don't know if you all have tickets or not. Talking to our listeners and our viewers, because we have tickets. We will be at the game this Saturday night, and we hope to see you there. That's going to be a big one, and we're excited to see that. So, Micah, you were kind of silent during that interview. I was just throwing questions, peppering him with questions. But as you think about maybe anything Matthew said about specifically this last game or the game on Wednesday night with Lexington, do you have any takeaways or thoughts as you watch that game?
I mean, when he was on, I should have asked him this question, but that first goal he was directly involved with, where Brian, you broke it down, where Lexington was trying to take away the center of the field, but Ari Briscoe's ability to play with his feet and connect into the midfield unlocked that first goal, right? And I watched the game on replay. Unfortunately wasn't able to make it out Wednesday. I stayed dry. Sorry, guys, but. Ari Briscoe received the ball inside his 18, picked his head up, and played directly into one of the central midfielders and immediately cut out 3 defenders. And you could also see all 3 of them just turn and just watch, where that ball then came out to Catavolo, and then he played a long diagonal ball into Traore, where, like you said, that's where the space was. So he was able to recognize that, play into Traore. He drove at a defender and drew the PK. So, I think Matthew's ability to read the game and read those moments and understand what teams are giving them, I think that's something that young kids need to develop, right? Just that recognizing where the space was. And even Briscoe with goalkeepers, your ability to play out of the back and confidently play that longer ball to cut defenders out, I think is a skill that is top level. So I wish he was on, because I thought he did really well.
Yeah. I want to throw a question to you, Autumn, here, because every time I think we talk goalkeeping, I think you're the expert there. And we talked a little bit before the show, and we'll talk more when we get into the West Virginia United match a little bit, but a goalkeeper's ability to play with their feet, like Micah just mentioned, Briscoe does well. How has that changed the game in your maybe playing career? Because I remember when I was goalkeeping at a young age, it was like, never pass the ball to your goalkeeper, and if you do, make sure it's outside the post, because he or she's not going to play it with their feet, and they might miss it, and you don't want to score an own goal. But goalkeepers are consistently playing with their feet well now. How much has that changed the game?
It's a really good point that you make, Brian, because I feel like I grew up with a 50-50 split, right? Early on, when I started goalkeeping, I was a field player before, but once I made that transition, it was don't use your feet, don't pass the keeper. We don't want any risks. But then it was probably junior, senior year of high school, playing at a MRL level, right? And into college, it was you have to use your feet. So I quickly had to adjust. as a goalkeeper to develop. I mean, your feet are you have to have quick feet as a goalkeeper. So it wasn't, when I say develop, it wasn't that much more effort and work. But it was learning how to kind of move it side to side and get that control. And like you said, Micah, you have to have that confidence to lead back there, especially with your feet. And so I think it is a game changer for the game of soccer when goalkeepers have the ability to use their feet. You're keeping that ball in play. You're keeping that momentum going. And if you can switch from one side of the field to the other to quickly, get that play up, get the ball up, or you can take a quick glance as a keeper and go, oh, there's a one-on-one situation, or there's a gap, I can play that ball. I'm gonna go for it. That can quickly change a game in a matter of seconds. And so I think, how I started my goalkeeping career and how I ended it, I think that transition to play your keepers as a 12th man on the field is powerful.
Yeah. And we saw it's not always perfect. I saw 2 games this last weekend where a goalkeeper was confident with their feet, but made a really terrible pass. It happened in the United States game when Matt Freeze gets a ball from Tim Ream and then goes to play it back to Tim Ream and goes right to the Haitian player who puts the ball back across. And then in the Dortmund Sundowns game that I went to yesterday in Cincinnati, same thing. Ball played back to the keeper. He plays just a dumb ball out and right to the striker, who puts it right back in his face. Like it happens, but the risk, it seems to be much more worth the reward is worth it. Having a goalkeeper who can use their feet, who can confidently switch the ball from side to side, play it downfield if you need to. And again, I just go back to what I said to Matthew, like Fort Wayne's not messing around with the level of players that they're bringing in. And Briscoe's one of those who can do that, who can do that well. So Fort Wayne comes away with the victory Wednesday night. And I maybe it's my fault. I won't say I jinxed the team, but said something to Coach Avery after that match. And
I did. Said, he called you out too.
He did. He called me out, and I'm glad he did. I said, 2 undefeated teams. I said, you guys have control of the division. Like that, this might mean the division now, this game, right? And he goes, well, we have 4 more games to play. We're not taking anything for granted. We're in a better position now. And in comes West Virginia United on Saturday night to add something to the party at the top of the division. They're not there, but they've maybe changed up some, made it a little bit more competitive there at the top again. You guys, Dustin, you were at the game Saturday night. I missed it. I watched on replay, and I think the rest of us did a little bit on replay. As you were there at the game, what were you experiencing? What were you seeing?
It was a completely different game, to be completely honest. I think, and I don't know the reasoning behind it, but I mean, we've talked before. We talked last week, and I think the week before, a little bit about referees and how they impact the game a little bit. I will say that there was a little bit of some controversial calls and some controversial no calls in that game yesterday, but to be completely honest, it did not impact the outcome of the game. We've talked multiple times. I actually was talking to my wife on the way home and about how
good for you.
Yeah, about the game. But we were talking about it, and she was like, do you remember when you guys talked about how there's 13 different birth countries on one team, and how yet somehow we seem to be able to find the way to play together the whole game? Yesterday was one of those times when it did not feel like we were playing together. It was not connecting passes, not getting the through ball. And I wish I could say that there was one thing that kind of stood out, but it was just kind of all across the board. It was flat, to be completely honest. And it was frustrating to see as a fan, not because they aren't still this amazing top tier team, but when you've seen them play so well in every single game so far this season, and then just one game to just completely, fall apart. And I wouldn't say fall apart, but just not have the goals that they scored, that West Virginia scored. fluke. I honestly, it was a PK that Micah and I talked about. Very, very soft PK
Very
again.
soft,
One
yep.
of those referee decisions. But I will say, Ari got a hand on the PK. It just top corner, and then just the chip over his head
Whew.
into the goal from midfield was unfortunate as well. So yes, they beat us 2-0. Yes, we didn't play well, but honestly, a couple different calls, couple different ways in which we played, it could have been a completely different game.
Yeah, I think those 2 goals, they're fixable,
Mhm.
right? Like, and we talked a little bit before the show in the midfield on that second goal where the ball's 60 yards from the goal, right? Like, there has to be an attention to detail that even if the ball is 60 yards from the goal, we still have to press it. We still have to make sure that we defend and not let the attacking player pick their head up. And since we all know Ari is going to play with his feet, so he's probably 20, 30 yards away from his goal, which as he should be. But if we don't get that pressure in the midfield, there's going to be those opportunities. And we see it in several games where the attacking player knows now, hey, I can pick my head up. I have an opportunity to go to goal. And then the first one of the PK, and we had pressure on the ball. We got beat. We got beat again. We had pressure. We had cover. So the details were good, but we just didn't get a tackle in at the right time, which was unfortunate. But again, the details are there. And as a coach, we can fix it.
Yeah. So Autumn, I'm going to go back to you for a second. The goalkeeping, playing with your feet, right? It's kind of a double-edged sword there because now you trust your goalkeeper. Goalkeepers are playing out more, almost as keeper sweepers, right? Supporting that back line. I'm seeing a lot of goals, not a lot, a higher percentage of goals coming from beyond midfield in professional soccer. Enough to where I talk to my high school goalkeepers that I coach about it. Like you're seeing it more in the pros. You are going to start seeing it at this high school level too. Kids that think they can hit from anywhere, right? And some that can. So how do you adjust then as a goalkeeper, as a coach? Like, do you push higher? Is there a line you're like, just don't go behind this line because who knows what's going to happen? Or don't go past 20 yards out of the goal. Like, how do you even set up for that other than just keep your head in the game and watch?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, nothing makes me more angry as a goalkeeper than those moments, honestly. I would say you got to be, as a goalkeeper, you always have to be ready for that back step and have that quick turn and have those quick feet to get back. But I think really a big thing would be your situational awareness, right? And so you have to be aware of your box. You have to be aware of your posts as a goalkeeper. And if you have to constantly be moving and swiveling your head. And, for same thing for the field players on the field, like Micah mentioned, he was at the 55-yard line, took his touch, and then bam, you have to step to that ball. So as field players, you also have to have that situational awareness because that can dictate a quick play, just like that. But as a keeper, I think having your situational awareness, your backpedaling technique to make sure that you're staying on point and keeping up with that, whether that's in trainings or constantly going through your head during the game of, oh crap, as soon as you see that ball go, you better drop that back foot and you better go. Because
and at some
we don't
point
know.
At some point though, there are players that are just going to beat you.
They are.
And
I mean, it's plain and simple. There's sometimes you look at it and you're like, well, crap.
Yeah.
I have a better term, but for its purposes, it's like, oh crap. And there's nothing that you can do about it. And so it's a 50-50 gamble, whether you play high or play low. I was one of those keepers that probably played more back because I was afraid of those moments where I could have been more confident and more aggressive. But it's a 50-50. Yeah.
I always played high because there was nobody that was going to do that. Like nobody was shooting. They weren't going to get it past me. That's not my thinking. It was nobody was shooting from midfield then. It wasn't a thing. And then we have two things to wrap up this part of the conversation. I was able to interview Nick Haglund, who's an MLS center back, and we talked about what's it like to go up against these fast, streaky strikers and whatever, and how do you adjust for that? And Micah, to your point, he said it starts up the field. Like if we can pressure the ball, those strikers aren't going to make those runs. They're not going to get it. So that pressure upfield, to your point, is huge. And and some players are just looking. The other thing I was going to say, some players are just looking for opportunities. Like they're going to sniff out your goalkeeper and go, "Oh, he's at the 18-yard box. I can beat him from here." So saw a 79-yard free kick go straight in the goal last year in Major League Soccer because he looked up. Oh, the goalkeeper's still talking to his center back, and he's at the 20 yards out. Boom, nailed it. Like we're going to start seeing that more and more, and it will be interesting to see how goalkeepers adjust to that style of play.
Yeah, it's one thing to make a save, but it's another thing to communicate to prevent that shot from happening, right? Yeah. And I think that's kind of where we're at with that first goal, where I think we missed the communication piece of telling a player to step in. And it happens, right? Yep. And it's happening a little bit more. So again, as a coach, like I think that's a simple fix, and that's good feedback for everybody.
You're not going to see it again this season.
You're not
gonna see that again.
Yeah,
no.
Crazy one that manned up on Sports Center. Who knows? Sports Center even a thing anymore? I don't know.
It is.
Yeah. All right. So we do have in the title of this episode, I said the ups and downs of a grueling summer schedule. Like it has been nonstop for Fort Wayne FC, and it's pretty unrealistic to think once you get into the heat of summer and you play Saturday, Sunday, or Saturday, Wednesday, that you're not going to drop a game here and there or drop a point here and there. You've got players who have played nonstop. I heard Coach Avery talk about, after the Lexington match, he was interviewed and talked about, we just have to look ahead. We've got another game. We have no time to celebrate this because tomorrow we're preparing for the next match. We don't even know who's healthy, who took knocks in this game. And so it's just a matter of trying to figure out what you have available, who you have available going into your next match, and what adjustments you need to make. And it's not over for Fort Wayne FC. No. There's a game Wednesday night. They travel to Columbus to play Kingshammer, and then they travel back home Saturday to play Atlas. And I think the only saving grace there is Atlas is traveling farther from Mexico to play here in Fort Wayne. Then Fort Wayne is traveling from Columbus and back. So,
and you can't take away from the fact that it was humid as all get out and over 90 degrees yesterday. That changes things, you know, to go from playing in 60-degree weather on Wednesday when after the storms ran through and it was beautiful as a fan to sit up there and probably perfect weather, to then have to play in that game yesterday. I mean, you can't take away from that aspect of the game either. So
like I said, next home game is Atlas. It's an international friendly. You're going to see some great soccer from both sides in that match. If you don't have your tickets yet, get your tickets now. They're available on Fort Wayne FC's website. It's City of Churches night, I believe, is what they're calling it as well. So that's a big promotion this next Saturday night. Cheer them on in Columbus if you like to travel and you can travel. I know there were folks down in where they played last time in Dayton, I believe. We heard some Fort Wayne FC fans on the broadcast cheering and chanting for the team. I got to go to the 1927 SC match the other night. They moved it from Sport Club to Indiana Tech. And so we didn't get a chance to talk about that too much tonight, but Lansing Common in the Midwest Premier League, the amateur league that our Fort Wayne Sport Club men's team plays in, had a supporters group travel from Lansing, Michigan, and they were there with their flags and their drums, and they were cheering. Like it was, as a visiting team to bring a supporter section. The home team's never a fan of that, but how cool,
That's cool.
As a fans of the team, that you've got people that are supporting you. So I'm sure we have some Fort Wayne folks that will travel this next Wednesday night. If you get a chance to, we'd love to know it. Let us know in the chat. We're gonna wrap up tonight's episode, guys, because we've got more we could talk about. There's just been so much soccer. I want to talk about the U.S. men's national team. I want to talk about the Dortmund subs that didn't come out and sit on the bench during the match yesterday. They stayed in the locker room because it was too hot. I want to talk about the Gold Cup. I want to talk about 1927. Maybe we'll have to do another midweek show. Who knows? But there's been so much going on. I'm really excited about all of it. We've got some listeners writing in now, viewers writing in now, asking about some segments in future shows. We've got new sponsors coming up, guys. And there's a lot of good stuff happening around Fort Wayne footy and around soccer in this area. And I'm just happy to be part of it. Any final thoughts before we close the show? I've rambled and talked for a while. Anything you guys want to say before we go?
No, I'm excited about the game next Saturday. I think it's going to be fun. I mean, again, we've talked about at the beginning of this year when we started this podcast, to have teams like that come to Fort Wayne and play us is awesome to be able to experience. So get out and support it. We had a huge crowd. Yes, last night we had a huge crowd for the unfortunate loss, but it's growing. It's exciting to see, and I hope that we pack the stands on Saturday.
Yeah, Micah, Autumn. Any final words? They're shaking their heads. So if you're listening later, you can't hear their head shaking. But that's why you need to watch us live Sunday nights. Thanks for joining us. We're looking forward to being able to talk about these upcoming games this week, next Sunday night here at Fort Wayne Footy. Thanks for being part of it.